Australia's coal industry has overtaken iron ore as our most valuable commodity export, according to figures out today by the Bureau of Statistics. But with fears of a global recession, the price of commodities is now crucial to our economic outcome. Business Editor Ross Greenwood joins me. And Ross, what about those who wrote coal off as a dead or dying industry?
There have been so many of them, right? And the reality is that the world needs energy. And right now, while energy prices are going through the roof and there's a demand and there's a shortage of oil, well, people are looking back to coal now. And that's the reason why you've seen this massive spike in coal prices. So these are the numbers that came out today, which again are stellar. These are record trade surpluses for Australia. It was the best part of $16 billion coal and iron ore contributed. But what you can see, these are the non-rural exports coming out of Deutsche Bank, and they really do show coal as going past iron ore as our major trade, a significant influence on the budget. And this is the reason why. And also the record high coming out of the ANZ here again shows that while imports have recovered after the pandemic, it's the exports which have really taken off. So this is about grain. This is also about iron ore and coal and LNG on top of this. So, this is the reason why Australia perhaps is in a different position than what it was going into the 1990s recession that many people point back to. That, the employment rates are so strong in Australia, unemployment so low at record lows. And then on top of that, this trade that we've got as a result of the commodities exports is so strong right now.
Commodities perhaps to save us again, but what about the future? After all, oil prices have fallen below 100 US a barrel with fears of a global recession. Would this play into the price of coal as well?
Well, 100%, of course it will. So this is the real conundrum in some ways for people to try and work out. Here's the price of oil. In March this year, it was $123 a barrel. I think, in fact, in that day, it actually went above 125. Today, sitting at $99 a barrel. So that drop there is deflationary, not inflationary. The price of oil there, as you can see, has dropped by the best part of 20% since March. And so, this is where it's rather an unusual situation. While the world is worried about inflation and worried about the consequence of higher interest rates, right now what you're seeing is key commodities falling, especially energy, as a result of fears if the world does fall into recession, people will use less of this stuff and really demand less output. And so this is the reason why commodity prices are coming off, which of course does not play well into Australia's long-term narrative, being a significant exporter of energy in particular.
And here's a different sort of question. Treasurer Jim Chalmers is meeting his New Zealand counterpart Grant Robertson, but they're talking about reframing the federal budget along New Zealand lines where they have a wellbeing budget. I remember Josh Frydenberg in the Parliament taking the mickey out of Jim Chalmers on this. How might that look?
Yeah, well, he's made a little speech today about this and saying that he's going to meet and they're going to consider a wellbeing budget. I think there's more of this coming out in the next few days. We'll wait and see. But the one point about this wellbeing budget is it actually scores the economy, not just on jobs and growth, which of course is a mantra of Josh Frydenberg and the Morrison government. But it really does score the economy on a whole range of other things, mental health. It also is including the emissions outcomes for Australia. So that would be another part of it. And there's a range of others that would actually lead to our well-being. This is what New Zealand has tried. But my sense of this, of course, Andrew, is that a lot of those initiatives cost significant amounts of money. And at a time when the Reserve Bank is trying to effectively curb spending from the community and therefore the government as well, to actually have big spending initiatives in these areas to improve well-being, well, I'd have to say you'd have to be fairly careful or indeed question where the money is coming from for those types of initiatives. It'll be interesting to see what Jim Chalmers, who has certainly talked the talk in terms of being able to have budget discipline so far, has to say about this in the coming days.
Yes, wellbeing budget sounds kind of courageous in Yes Minister parlance. Thanks for that, Ross.